One of the comments I get way too often is, "You are an Assassin's Creed hater," or some variation of that. I understand that that won't put me completely in the clear from being classed as a hater. Now, a hater is technically somebody who will shit on something because they didn't like it and they basically just want to be nasty and negative and things. Now, why don't we just address that comment before we go into the video itself? If I hated Assassin's Creed, I would not have a YouTube channel with a primary focus on it. I wouldn't be making videos all the time on the franchise. I wouldn't. Why would I do that? Why would I supposedly waste my time making videos on something that I didn't like? So now that we've established that I am an Assassin's Creed fan, I am definitely a fairly harsh critic. I wouldn't say I'm the harshest going, have you met this racist here? But yes, I am critical about the franchise nonetheless. And I know a lot of people are really tired of the, "Oh, you're just critical, cruel to be kind, just so that you can help the franchise in the long run," all this stuff. Heard it all before. Yeah, fair enough, you probably have. That's because people genuinely want the franchise to improve in places where it might not be at its peak. I'm not saying that anything is bad at this point. All I'm saying is people criticise to see improvement again. They can criticise and say, "This is good, but it could be better," you know, and that's the type of stuff that I like to do. Sometimes I don't think something is particularly great at all, and I say, well, this wasn't really that great, but this is how that could improve. But if I say that, for some reason, there are still quite a lot of people who think that I am a hater of the franchise. I mean, I do sometimes make videos where I criticise things, where I break them down, but I don't really suggest improvement in those videos, but instead do that in different videos where I have critical videos and then I have other videos, most notably certain top fives. Like I'd have 5 bad things here, 5 bad things there, 5 bad things here, 5 things that could be added, or, you know, things like that. So I understand where people might come from if they've only seen a select few videos where I'm being quite critical and they think that I'm just a very harsh hater on Assassin's Creed, or just a mild hater. It's not even hate, it's literally just criticism. But some people see that. I can understand that, but what I don't understand is why certain people like this are my subscribers. They see every video I put up, and yet some of them still think that I'm just a hater. I mean, shall we have a look, see what videos I've actually done recently on Assassin's Creed? So here we do have my channel videos page. So first of all, you'll see that I have "The Colonial Brotherhood Was Bad, Canonically Speaking," a video in which I go over the canonical facts as to why the Colonial Brotherhood were full of assassins that weren't particularly very good at upholding the assassins' values, using only inside stuff from canon, things that happened, to back up my points, not as an opinion based but just how it is. So I'd say this video is neither negative nor positive, it's neutral. Then we have "Why isn't Shay in AC3? A simple question. I don't question like the quality of the decision to not have him there, or whatever was the reason why he wasn't written yet. I don't really go into that. The video is neutral. Then there's this video here, "Assassin's Creed Origins is different and that's good." That is again very, well, it's not neutral. I'd say it's actually kind of positive, depending on where you sit with that. I know a lot of fans do have the opposite beliefs about Assassin's Creed Origins being different, but as far as I'm aware, it's just me being optimistic. What happened to William Miles? It's neutral, isn't it? It doesn't have good or bad opinions in there. The Order of the Ancients video about the details and stuff, again neutral. News is typically neutral, so that's neutral, that's neutral, that's neutral, that's neutral. That here, this is sort of positive because I'm going over the set pieces in the franchise that I like. Again, that is positive. Then we have "What Happened to the Aquila" over here, and as far as I'm aware, that one is neutral. I think it is. Yeah, obviously it is. And here we have "Did Syndicate mock Assassin's Creed?" Now, the video's intention was not to hate, but to point out what I thought was the case. But since it doesn't really have a positive basis to it, I suppose you could say this one is actually critical or negative, which is fair enough. I will accept that. But then again, you've got to have the ups and the downs. And then you have news again. News again. I'll try to present that as neutrally as possible. More neutral stuff here, and there. Well, that's actually expressing opinions in which I look at it and I say what I like, and I express maybe some concerns and things. So it's either neutral, positive, or just a little mix of those. I don't really go into much negativity there as far as I'm aware. This one's neutral, this one's neutral, this one's neutral, that's neutral, that's just a random fun ties, that's neutral, 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 neutral. This one's just a neutral video which goes over what is and what is. Again, neutral. This one is going over my opinions on these two games, and they're both great games. I go over why I love each one of them, so I suppose that one's positive, you know. And then we have this one again, which is a little bit of criticism, so yeah, again, negative, I'll give you that one. But it seems as if neutral is how I approach making Assassin's Creed content usually, and positive and negative opinions sometimes do show up. I won't deny that I have videos criticising the franchise, as seen down here in the corner, but of course, I don't just hate on the franchise. I try to be fair, I try to keep it balanced, and if you don't like the videos where I'm criticising or saying something that you don't like, there's always another video down there that you can watch. If there is one thing that I have noticed about views when it comes to negative, positive or neutral, most videos that get more views tend to be a little bit more critical about the franchise. So in a way, people actually go out of their way to find videos in which someone is criticising the franchise than they do to find videos that they might agree with, which is why I get a lot more comments talking about how I'm a hater of Assassin's Creed than perhaps I might do of people agreeing with me. I mean, that's not the case at all. I do get a fair balance of those, really. But I do find a lot more people like to watch the videos where I have something constructively critical or just critical to say. It's almost as if they want to watch those videos exclusively, but then they go ahead and call me just a hater. And what that makes me think is those people tend to cherry pick on the things that I've done in videos, certain videos. They tend to cherry pick those points, but they completely discount the videos where I'm talking positively about the franchise, and as a result they think that I'm a hater, or they say that I'm a hater, which is a bit, you know, I wouldn't say it's particularly fair, but I'm not going to whine and say, that's not very fair of you. I'm just here to explain that I don't hate Assassin's Creed and you can sleep easy at night. But I have found that people seem to jump when you criticise something in the franchise. Fans all over just jump to defend it really aggressively and call you a hater, they call you an idiot, barely forming a coherent sentence along the way. A lot of people tend to assume that when you're saying something critical about the games, that suddenly you're immediately malicious with intent and a hater, which I think is complete and utter nonsense. And that's when you get messes like this in your comments, which it's a bit annoying to read, to be honest. Now, I know that other Assassin's Creed content creators and content creators on everything get these comments sometimes when they're being critical about the games. What it is we see something that we didn't like or think could have been better in a previous title in the franchise, we point it out, and then we suggest improvement, or that's at least how it should be done, as opposed to just shitting on it and saying that it's bad and leaving it at that. People tend to take it when you do that as either you're asking too much, you're being a hater, or you're just a toxic individual. And then there's making videos neutrally on topics that are intentionally negative within the Assassin's Creed universe or any game's universe, and suddenly you're being critical again, which is what happened with a lot of people on my previous video, which was about why the Colonial Brotherhood wasn't really that great. A video in which I approach with hard canon facts as opposed to opinions. I do give my interpretation how I see it as violating the tenets and all that. I won't say that it's all core there in the canon. I'll go over what's there in the video, and then I'll expand how I do believe that has violated said tenet, and then I'll go over why I think that in canon the Colonial Brotherhood was bad. I'm not giving an opinion on it. I'm not saying I don't like. I kind of like that we've got this grey area going on. I'm just saying in the video that that's how it was meant to be, or that's how Ubisoft turned it out to be. That's the narrative behind it. The Colonial Brotherhood is a bit of a mess. Suddenly pointing out a official downside to the Assassin Brotherhood is literally hating. I don't get it. That's a bit of a heavy jump. And I don't know, it does annoy me when people seem to think that I'm just hating on the franchise when I'm being either critical or if I'm just saying something how it is in canon, and that's painting the Assassins in not such a good light for some whatever reason, and then people are like, oh, but you quite clearly are a hater, stop hating, stop shitting on the game, stop being a critic. Well, nah, listen, right, okay. I'm going to continue doing content exactly how I do content, you know. I'll criticise what I think needs talking about, and I'll praise what I think needs praising. I'll try to keep it as balanced as possible. I don't want to be too critical or too positive. I want to keep it balanced. If there's nothing to be negative about, brilliant. If there's nothing to be positive about, that's a shame. Never happened. Hope it never does. If there's an equal amount of things, then I can talk about what could have been better and what was amazing. You know, I can talk about them both, two birds with one stone sort of thing, and everybody's happy. But, you know, if you say one thing negative about Assassin's Creed, suddenly the entire community wants your head on a stick. It's scary at this point. Just saying, stop. Some people will say in the comments that if you love Assassin's Creed, surely that's unconditional and there's nothing bad that you'd say about it. But you see here, the thing is, the reason why I, James, George, sometimes Tyler whenever he wants to upload, that what we do is we are critical about what we think needs to be spoken about, what we think needs to improve, that because nothing will ever be perfect, we've accepted that, we can accept that, but if there's one thing that we can do as a community through criticism, constructive criticism, not just shitting on things, that's a bit dicky, constructive criticism does help, because then Ubisoft or any developer that we're criticising the product of can take that constructive criticism and then, right, okay, they've given us a suggestion as to how we could do it better. That was a terrible stutter. And then we'll see what happens, you know? And if it turns out well, brilliant. If it doesn't, well, we'll have to think of something else. But the franchise cannot improve if we do not point out what we didn't like about it. But that doesn't mean that in pointing out the things that we don't like, we should ignore the things that we did. Now, I want to talk about the things that I loved about the games, the things that I liked about the games, are the best parts. I really do. As much as possible, I'll praise that galore. But those things need their equal time of day, because that stuff is what's holding the franchise back from being the best experience that we could possibly have. And I've accepted that the best thing to do to help a franchise improve, and we know that Ubisoft listens to their fans, is to express opinions in a way in which they can then take it and break down what we said that we didn't like or that we think could be better, and build it up in a way to make it on the same level as the things that we loved and liked and things like that. And if we don't criticise the games where it's needed, not willy-nilly just going about saying this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, and not suggesting improvements, if we go about criticising things where needed, talking about what needs to improve, then we're helping out really more than anything. We're being helpful. We're not doing it for no purpose whatsoever, you know. And I know it probably makes me sound like a broken record when I say it, but that's just how it is. And yet people still persist with this. You're an Assassin's Creed hater. You're evil. Die. Oh, God, guys. Oh, God. And yes, sometimes I do come across as a bit too critical. I can accept that. And I know that sometimes being too critical makes you look a bit of a prick, really, which is a shame. But sometimes it's a little bit necessary, I suppose. But I'm a fan of Assassin's Creed. I love the franchise. And when I'm being negative about certain aspects, it's because I want them to improve. So I'll say what's wrong, and if it's appropriate, I'll suggest a way to improve it. Sometimes it's just something that needs to go entirely, and other times it's something that's a good concept. It just needs to be fleshed out in a way that makes it work. and people see this criticism as hate for whatever reason. Now, personally, I like to think of it as just constructive criticism, or criticism on its own. I know that it's probably better to be constructive, but sometimes it doesn't fit, as with top 5 bad things here and there. But then there are the top 5 good things, and then there are certain ways that it can improve. I put into different videos, things like that. I'm on a tangent. What I'm trying to say here is, I'm not a hater of Assassin's Creed. I don't hate Assassin's Creed. I am a fan of the franchise. I love it, as I have said about 100 times, which makes it sound like a lie, but I'm sorry, I really do. Don't get the pitchforks. I want to live. But if I hated Assassin's Creed, okay, if I hated it, I wouldn't make videos on it. If you want to cherry pick all the videos where I'm being more negative about the franchise, and then say all I do is talk shit about the franchise and things like that, then it's really not my problem that you're cherry picking. But I wanted to address this so that everybody knows that I'm not a hater. I love Assassin's Creed. Give me a hug. I'm big. That was completely off topic. I'll see you all very soon.